It's always been the case. They might be shit, they might be average, but if it clicks, they could potentially win the entire thing. I don't know how. Dan King just going fucking lunatic mode or whatever. I've seen it happen, man. Too many fucking times.
And
it's been a while.
Dude, no, you're on copium if you think Tyloo
He's
can
still
win this
playing
event.
good. He's playing, bro. Bleh, he's got a 1.22 rating, and they've lost 3 of their last 4 best of 3s.
So maybe someone else steps up. I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to just sell you anything as to like the Tyloo stock that they're gonna win this shit. I'm just saying that top 4 I think is very, very realistic.
All right, hello and welcome. It is Geographically Challenged episode number 40. What a fantastic number we found ourselves at. Maybe we'll hit 50 one day. Maybe we'll see. Look, let's jump into things because there's a lot to talk about today. We've got the star-studded panel, of course, as usual. It's Pilski, Bleh, the usual co-hosts, I suppose, we'll go with. And then obviously MacMate as well. He finally has managed to get out of the Oast jail and he's secured himself some international work and he's going to be going over to the RMR, so it'd be interesting to get his thoughts prior to that. There's also been a little bit going on, so we want to talk about, obviously, all the recent news, things like Rare Atom at EPL, the results of ESL Challenger League Season 44, which kind of ties into the Asia RMR anyway, but the bulk of this episode is going to be the Asia RMR and what to expect from it and what we expect from it, so hopefully you're interested in that. Obviously, you can let us know your opinions down in the comments below and do all of that jazz. So, look, let's crack into things and start off with Rare Atom at ESL Pro League. Now, I know this was a little while ago. It was like a couple of weeks ago now. Basically, just as we finished the last episode, Rare Atom was going to go into playing their games. I don't want to touch on it too much because I think, obviously, a lot of this is still going to sort of get brought up when we're talking about the Asia RMR. But I think there are a couple of interesting things of note worth talking about, I suppose. Obviously, as we all know, they had that great series against Team Liquid, 2-0 in that one. And in that series, when I was watching that, I was thinking, geez, all right, I'm going to put Rare Atom as my #1 team in the RMR power rankings. They're going to win the RMR, right? So I had that feeling coming back. And then they went on to play against a couple of other opponents, and they even played against Team Liquid once again. And I started to question myself again. So was this kind of, I don't know who wants to go first here. Maybe we'll send it your way, Pilski. Was this kind of just like the classic Rare Atom, right? They come in, they have one good showing. Kaze dropped +25 over 2 maps, and you thought, fuck, Kaze's back to like 2016, 2017 form. And then the rest of it was just kind of middling, kind of average, kind of bad.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like that Katowice run, that first series. I was getting those vibes again. I'm like, oh, they're going to do something. But I think like similar to what we were talking about last time where, you had Grayhound in like kind of a weaker group, getting some good maps and stuff. You got to put it in context. I think, a lot of these NA teams having a tough time at the moment, getting good practice and stuff. You've seen that time and time again. So I think they were playing a team that was kind of a little bit all over the place. It's still a good win. Don't get me wrong. Like Liquid's still a really, really strong team. And I think Rare Atom is that ultimate team that when they get a good run of form and they get a good read on a game, they can actually kind of play at a good enough level to actually, test or beat another team. But it's always been a question of consistency with them for me.
Yeah, Bleh, they did have at least a decent map as well against Na'Vi, as I recall. That one actually went to OT, and they were sort of able to get that over the line. So that even in itself kind of gave me a little bit of hope, because I think that was the next series after they played against Team Liquid. So they won 2-0 against Liquid, then they won the first map against against Na'Vi, I think. And then, obviously, they went on to kind of get shit on it on the last couple of maps. And I was just watching that thinking, man, if they could just win one more map, like how crazy would that be? But obviously, as we know, being fans that have watched Asian Counter-Strike for so long, you very rarely do you get that kind of deeper run.
Yeah, they did also play ENCE as well, right? Who did eventually wind up being, I think, the semi-finalist. I think ENCE really performed very well considering it's their first tournament with Nuts. I think it's a combination of two things. Yeah, Rare Atom just catching Liquid off guard, and Liquid also kind of traditionally having the slow starts, right? They're kind of unpredictable sometimes. Overpass were nowhere to be found. Rare Atom played great. Liquid were just garbage in that map. And apart from that, I think they're showing a very similar tendency as just like IHC, where their map pool is still iffy, if you ask me. It's Inferno and Nuke, the ones where they're able to, seemed to be able to compete. Like the map win they had over Na'Vi was an Inferno. They beat Liquid and Inferno. Against ENCE, Nuke was pretty close as well. When it comes down to the other maps, it's still up in the air, especially against international opposition, right? The one thing I want to look at the good things. I didn't even expect them to really take a series considering the group they were in, right? The teams they faced off against. But I feel like Mosier was fantastic. Jamyoung and Kazi, as usual, stepping up. Kazi still showing he's got the chops. So all in all, I think I was pretty... I would have liked them to make things a little bit closer against Liquid when they faced off in the elimination game, the final game, obviously. But apart from that, I think this is kind of what I expected, apart from, of course, that first 2-0 against Liquid. It took a map of Na'Vi as well. So all in all, not too, super impressed or anything, but at the same time, I wasn't too disappointed with this performance.
All right. Well, look, I mean, there's obviously one more thing that we need to touch on. We need to go back to the regular scheduled Advent bashing on Geographically Challenged, because he went -69 over 9 maps.
Nice.
So he was also, by the way, the lowest rated player at ESL Pro League. So, I mean, not really much of a surprise. That is Advent in a nutshell. But Mac, I mean, at what point, like, I know we've gone around in circles on this for probably like 3 or 4 years.
Bro, wasn't he going to retire like ages ago? What was that report? I swear to God, someone could dig up that report where it's like, I will not be playing next year.
I got in a random like Faceit game and Advent was in there and they didn't end up starting because they were obviously on the wrong server. And I was like, nah, that's not real Advent. I messaged him like, yo, Advent, what's up? And he's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And then I like checked his profile. It was the real Advent, but like he had 200 ping or 190 ping or something like that, and was like, oh yeah, sorry, friend not connected, and then we didn't play. But look, that being said, competitively, he might have disconnected a few times to get the scoreline that he currently has, of course, but he called a decent couple of games there. Look, of course, still leading by... He's leading. He's not leading by example, but he is leading. And the rest of them still doing a decent amount of work.
I just want to put his brain in a younger person, bro. That's all I want. I just want to put his brain in
listen.
The
man went 1.48 rating against Liquid on Overpass. I'm just saying, one of the biggest storms ever by an Asian team against the top tier team, and Advent had a 1.4 rating.
No, but the thing is though, Bleh, like he still went like 0.5 for the entire tournament somehow, even after doing that against Liquid. I was looking at the stats. I can't remember exactly what map it was, but he was like 4 and 19 on one map or something like that. And it was, I think maybe it was the map that they almost won, or that was like double digits or something. It was not a short map, if I remember correctly. And it was like, if you would have just gotten like 10 frags or something. This is the thing. I'm looking at it, and I know we've talked about this before, and I don't want to keep harping on about it, but it's like, at what point does Rare Atom go, or have they already made that decision where they've said, look, we're never going to be like a top contender globally. We're happy to be one of the best teams in Asia. If we keep Advent, we're going to be one of the best teams in Asia. But I just look at it and I think, like, you're never, ever, ever going to be able to compete on the global stage if you have someone like Advent who is just not contributing basically at all in a lot of these series. So I don't know if there's really too much more to say on that. If anyone wants to jump in. I
almost don't want them to remove him though, because when he does frag, it's like the best
I love it.
ever.
It's
when Advent drops a 30 on an international team, it is just the most gratifying experience ever.
Yeah.
I don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
The thing is, right, firstly, there's no one really to replace. I don't really rate any IGLs right now in China at the very least, right? So that's unfortunate. But listen, man, if I was like a big org in China and or whatever, like could be a different, I don't know, or whatever entity or whatever, you pick up Advent and just make him sit in all these 5e play Faceit pugs or whatever, and let him just scout players, right? Just let him just scout players and kind of be this coach for a coaching class for artists. Listen, the amount of teams that would be shitting out, like really decent teams, would be fucking amazing. But unfortunately for that, VG, or rather Rare Atom, they need to find a coach, an IGL. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist. We all know that.
The problem is, Blair, I just don't think there's enough money in China for them to do something like that, you know? So
it'd be so cool though, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like Mosier and Jamyoung and Mercury, like, dude, we never knew about these guys before they got picked up. Like, which top tier team picks up like these unknown players and makes them click?
But for anyone that doesn't know, bro, like Jamyoung didn't even have an official under his belt, and then like he just goes onto VG Gaming and just fucks. from day one.
Dude, no, listen, even Mosey and Mercury, they have a few games, but then again, they weren't really playing seriously, right? It was kind of like some mixed teams or whatever. It had like 4 or 5 officials. That's about it. And Advent just goes in because, yeah, I like these two. I'm picking them up, and they fucking fuck. You know, they fuck hard. It's great.
There you go. I mean, that was just eloquent as I've ever heard from you, Blair.
Thanks, thanks, man.
That's what, this is how you get on a major, by the way.
Keep up the great job. Yeah.
Just swear more. I did a little bit of research quickly. Last time Advent dropped 30. What's the date of this?
2019?
Was 2021. 28th of, was that April, up against Invictus. I don't even know who was on that Invictus team. That was Starry, Destroyer, Bottle, Flying, and Viva. So that was like a while ago now. But that was the last time he dropped 30. So
wow, I can't...
yonks.
Wait, what date did you say?
April. It's like 2 years ago almost.
April 2021. We might have casted that game.
Nah, it was Perfect World League Season 1 2021. Because I thought that as well.
I was thinking, like, man, we did a lot of those kind of like Invictus versus Rare Atom games, or at the time they were.
If I casted Advent dropping a 30 bomb, it would be a life event. You know,
I remember that. I still remember Orman like going absolutely crazy in one of those online events, and I was like, "Fuck, Orman's back, boys," for like 2 months, and then he.
But can we all agree that the fact that Vici, I keep saying Vici, but with Rare Atom, we kept saying, listen, if you're going to retain Advent, you got to get rid of Orman and Zoking and pick up 2 new players, and we kept saying, let's get Attacker, let's get Summer, or whatever, right? But that was the right call. They look so much better, so much more consistent overall, at least in Asia, as when they had Orman and Zoking. So they've done something right. Just couldn't change Advent out. That's all.
Yeah. Look, I guess we'll have to wait and see how they go. I think they've got a lot to prove at the RMR, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to jump onto the ESL Challenger League. You know, it's not a big deal. None of us actually cover it, so I'm sure probably none of you guys have even really watched much of it. But just for those who are sort of watching along, Lynn Vision won their 3rd season in a row, so that's pretty impressive. And it does mean that they'll get to go to ESL Pro League, which I believe is the first time we will see Lynn Vision at Pro League, or at least in a very recent sort of history.
They went to Blast or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's been like obviously in the past, it's obviously always been like Vici, Tyloo, and more recently it's kind of been IHC that have been sort of taking these opportunities. So good opportunity for Lynn Vision to get that one. I will say a little bit of a caveat in there that Rare Atom did pull out of the playoffs. Obviously, NKT also pulled out of the playoffs, but I don't think that fucking matters because, let's be real, NKT wouldn't have been able to do shit. And the other caveat was that IHC was playing with Mara again, and obviously he's their coach and sort of standing in because they couldn't use, I believe they couldn't use Hastika because of, obviously roster locks and stuff like that. But I don't know if any of you guys really have anything you want to say about Lynn Vision, or if you want to crack on.
I mean, I'm just surprised they're using they're using the core 3 that they had that were playing well in Blast, and then they picked up 2 new players that I haven't seen play before. So almost kind of similar to Rare Atom, getting some new Chinese talent through, I'm assuming, that people are less familiar with. They did kind of smack Wings Up around, and Wings Up we were big fans of over in DreamHack. They've also made a roster change. They got Marek in, who used to play for IG, and they got Flying as well. But Flying, like I swear to God, Flying's kind of like jailbait in China. I swear to God, like every time
that's a weird
he's
analogy.
he's playing, bro. He's legit playing on like a second-rate team a lot of the time, and he's just destroying cunts. And then you pick him up and you lose. Like I don't know why. And every time I was like, Flying's got to go to Tyloo or like Vici or something, and then like. I don't know, bro. I don't know. He looks so good. Like the eye test on Flying and the mechanics and the aim is insane. And then like when he's actually on your team just kind of sucks.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, I tell you what, anything else there from you, Mac, or should we move on?
Nah, I didn't touch on that one too much.
That's cool. Maybe you can kick us off here because the other last little bit of recent news I want to talk about before we go into the whole RMR discussion is Kingfisher into Vertex. I don't even know if you were aware of this, Pilski, or maybe you were part of that interview on Tuesday. So that's a little bit of an interesting change to me. I don't know what that's necessarily going to mean for Vertex, but obviously he left Grayhound or was removed from Grayhound. I don't really know the circumstances. Who was it that we were talking to? Was it last night, Mac? We were talking to Brace, and he was sort of saying there might have been something to do with a money issue for Grayhound.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it. There was this. Let's just call it speculation. Maybe because there's not that coach slot given to, or like people. What is it? I think it's like 6 people get flown over or something per team for tournaments.
Didn't they fix that? I think they fixed that.
See, I don't know. I don't know the back end of it, but apparently, you know, that might have been a issue where like they have the 7 people, if you include like Will, you know, the owner, as well as a coach, and then the 5 players. That might have been one too many or something. I don't know what the.
Would it be a classic case of like they fixed that in Europe?
Yeah, in Europe,
Maybe.
where it's
In Europe.
not expensive.
Would that be one of those? I don't know.
Could be.
Could be. Anyway, I don't think that like I don't think that's going to make a massive difference to like Vertex's power levels necessarily, unless Kingfisher comes in with some fucking godlike gigabrain strats or something. But you know, obviously, still a pretty interesting little roster move that people might be, you know, interested to hear about. So I only just learned about that like a couple of days ago, so I thought we might as well bring it up here, touch on it briefly. But look, let's get into the spicy topic. I've as you can see, I've tried to up the production value on Geographically Challenged. As you can see from this,
done a marvelous job.
This screen graphic design.
Does Mac look completely normal and he's like, you know, looking great?
Mac never looks normal. Mac never looks
the way that you cropped Mac's neck there is a little interesting. Like,
don't worry about it.
Fair enough.
Why is it a bit bumpy?
It's probably, I don't know, whatever. Don't worry about it. Graphic design is my passion, Pilski. That's all you need to know. So basically what I've asked the boys to do, and you know, if you're a regular watcher from Geographically Challenged, you'll be pretty aware of how this normally plays out. We sort of list our power rankings per se, whatever it be, players or teams or such and such going into an event. So I asked them 1 to 8, list the teams, and we'll use that as a vehicle to sort of discuss what we think is going to happen at the RMR. And after this, we'll try to sort of go through the bracket and figure out who we actually think is going to basically win which matchups and such like that. So don't take this for gospel. Just take this as a bit of an opportunity to discuss things. I will start off by unveiling our 8th picks. So across the board, we've gone for Twisted Mind, apart from Mac, which I want to start with you, Mac. Obviously, you know, you're the point of difference here. So I think that's a good spot for the discussion to begin. But why have you got Vertex as your last pick or your lowest sort of power ranking team?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because they've got Lebanjica.
That's part of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why I picked them last.
I just want to impress him. I don't want to put him at the bottom. No, look, that being said, I just feel like there are names like on that Middle Eastern quad team, the Twisted Minds, like, and I don't know many of them, but I know that they're playing in a region where they should all be mechanically pretty bloody strong players. And last time when we had Jijihao over for the last RMR, they all impressed me. You know, obviously they've had Facecrack and Davkos doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but with Twisted Minds, I just feel like I want to say, yeah, cool, their last seed. I think Vertex should be able to beat them. But I saw Vertex looking pretty shaky this week in ANZ Champs, and that's not what you want to see from a team going into an RMR. So I just feel like Vertex are my bottom team. I really hope for, you know, Australia's sake that they do really well, but they are going to come in as last seed in my opinion.
Right. I will counter that by saying, look, obviously Vertex aside, I think they did okay this week. I don't think they did amazingly, but I do think that they'll need to hit a bit of a better level when they play overseas if they want to perform. But what I will say is, obviously, this is a little bit of hometown bias for me because I've watched a lot of Vertex. I haven't watched basically any Twisted Minds, but Twisted Minds is still a very new team. They only made this roster in February this year, so they haven't been together for very long. I know Lebanjica is like a big name or whatever as far as streamers are concerned, but I've basically never heard of him as far as competitive Counter-Strike is concerned. So, or any of those other players. And again, I don't have my finger on the pulse when it comes to Middle East and Counter-Strike. I actually wanted to get someone from the Middle East. I reached out to Tox, by the way, but he's like just fucking disappeared. So I don't know. His Twitter's gone. I messaged the MESL.
His Twitter's gone?
Yeah, his Twitter's gone. It's just disappeared. It's like this user does not exist. So I don't know what's going on with him. Anyway, hopefully he's okay. But I wanted to have him on, but he might have been able to shed some light on this team. But yeah, look, maybe it's just that they're a team that we're doing the classic, like when an Asian team goes overseas and you don't know much about them, so you're like, oh, they're going to be bad. That's kind of what this is, I think, for me. And the fact that Vertex has that kind of hometown bias, I think that they're going to do okay. Hazard seems to be a nice pickup, kind of slotting in and, you know, bringing Kingfisher and such like that. But Yeah, I mean, look, I just give them that little bit of an edge. I don't know if it's a massive edge. I think for me, 7 and 8 probably pretty interchangeable.
Here's what I'll say about this one. You're going to get to find out who's right in this scenario, because the way the bracket's going to work, IHG is playing Twisted Minds, Vertex is playing Rare Atom. They're going to get knocked down and probably play each other in the first lower round, if you ask me. So you get to find out who's right about it, I suppose.
That'll be interesting. Do you have any 2 cents, player, or should we?
Yeah, the thing with this team is like, look, it's a classic case. It's kind of a little bit of a mini rant for me, but the fact that, you know, whenever we talk about these Middle Eastern qualifiers, you always have this like mix of like, you know, EU players just playing just to kind of get that slot. It kind of sucks, but that's what it is. You know, you're not really having too many opportunities for some of the local pure Middle Eastern teams. That being said, though, like Black Eagle, for example, he's been around for a while. I've seen his name multiple times over the years, but all of them have been these mixed teams, right? Every single time. In fact, I remember one of his teams he played for the Asian minor was called FFA Mix, if I'm not mistaken, like years ago. So he's been around for a while. Doc, yeah, everyone knows he plays online. You know, a bit of a well-known pugger right there, Lwandjika as well. So it's just a classic case of the typical EU/Middle Eastern mix coming together to play the RMR, qualifying for it, and eventually getting banged out. 7th to 8th, to me, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter. But I feel like, you know, I agree with, I can kind of see where Mac's coming from as well. But the thing for Vertex is, I would be disappointed if they come in bottom last. But that being said, if they get a little too nervous, because they are the actual team, right? If they're a little bit too nervous, the Twisted Mind guys, they literally have nothing to lose. They're just going to fucking YOLO it. They know they're not going to be qualifying for the major, considering you have teams like Tyloo, Rare Atom, and IHC out there, and even Grayhound for that matter. So I'm curious to see who's going to be coming out in the bottom there. But that being said, I'm going to put a little bit of faith in Vertex. I feel like they have done enough for me to have that.
What did you think about the fact that Black Eagle spent June 2021 to October 2021 playing for 19 centimeter gang? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
He's just got big hands.
Inches. What's that in inches?
Look, he was on a team.
It's 7.4. You know what?
Mad Lions.
Good for him.
Above average. That's above average.
That's just above average, man. It's good for him, man. Black Eagle. There we go.
Year, that team.
The name makes sense now.
19 centimeter gang 2-1 Mad Lions, and that was halfway through last year when Mad Lions was like a pretty good team, right?
I don't know if he was playing.
I don't think Mad Lions was doing much last year.
On Wikipedia, he was on the team when they won.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was Mad Lions at that point? I mean,
I think it was Cillian.
If I click on Mad Lions, it's not going to tell me.
Okay, it was JL, TMB, Tutson, Sosol, Spell, and this was the bad Mad Lions.
Like imagine being contracted to a proper EU org and you get banged out by 19 centimeter gang.
That's it.
Well, at least you felt it, I guess. So.
Yeah,
wow,
that's true.
All right, let's move on from that before we get demonetized everywhere. All right, I was going to say something about. The only other thing I'll say about Twisted Minds is in my head, the Middle Eastern region is the weakest sub-region of the 4 that qualify through to the Asia RMR, and they're also the 2nd seed from that region. And I didn't think Jijihao looked super competitive at the last event. I know that, you know, they did technically outplace Rare Atom, so you can use that as a bit of a zinger against me, but I thought Rare Atom just shit the bed, to be honest, at that event.
They did.
They really just, I'm just going to fucking ignore that and forget about it, because otherwise I'll start crying. Here we go. Let's go into 7th pick. We've got Vertex for myself and Bleh. I think that kind of ties into what we were talking about. Max gone for Twisted Mind. So the only sort of outlier here, Pilski, is you've gone for Yijing, which, by the way, is what Invictus Gaming is now known as. I believe they left the organization.
You mean
when did that even happen? What the fuck?
Yeah, well, they would. So Jijihao became Invictus International, and then they now become Yijing. So Jijihao and Invictus are both actual orgs. I don't think Yijing is an org. But anyway, apparently I saw on Wikipedia, and this is a bit of an aside, Mestal made a tweet, which is now deleted. But the insinuation was that Invictus was not paying them or something like that. So fucking whatever, they just left. And I don't know what they're going to be called at the RMR, but as of now, that's what they're called on Wikipedia. But that is the team that we're talking about when we are talking about Yijing. So Moray, Facecrack, Dabkoffs, Mestal, and Mini. And I want to give this one to you, Pilly, because I think you're of the same mind as me, maybe, or at least this is the assumption that the Middle East is sort of the weakest region, and you've kind of put them 7 and 8 because of that.
Yeah, I mean, we did obviously see them do well at the last RMR. And the thing is, they do play in Europe, like, quite regularly. End of last year, they were playing, and the start of this year, they were playing some European tournaments. Even February, they're playing some European tournaments against some, like, tier 3 European teams. So I mean, the fact that they practice in Europe is going to make them pretty tough to beat. And I think you could really go either way on it, if you ask me, between Vertex or the IG boys, whatever you want to call them, Yijing. I think, I don't know, I'm putting my faith in Vertex. It's probably some Aussie bias. But I think that, you know, this is probably their time to pop off a little bit. Like, they've had a couple of overseas events where they showed some promise. I'm kind of hoping that they finally going to get themselves settled enough to where they'll do well at one of these RMRs. I think their first game is going to be a little bit too tough. And I don't know if I was super convinced by the win that the Yijing boys got in their last RMR over Rare Atom. I thought that was a bit of a weird game. I think I casted that game, in fact, and I thought that was a bit of a weird result. So, look, we'll see what happens. I think, you know, the Yijing boys are going to be hard to beat. I think if it's going to be a classic case of, like, if it does come down to Vertex or Yijing, and those are kind of the interchangeable slots for me. In fact, I think it's kind of a toss-up after the top 3 in this tournament. I think you could see completely crazy results any which way and upsets and things like that. But I think Vertex, they need, like, the individual players that they have to actually shine, and they need to actually frag up, because if they don't frag up against this IG or Yijing team, they're going to get banged out of the server. Like, they need to pass the firepower test.
I'm pretty sure that series you were talking about was the Get Hard for Mirage series, if you remember that.
I remember. Good shout, that one.
I wasn't casting that series. I got relegated to the analysis.
Yes, I didn't want to put that one out there, but you've remembered. But also, I saw the faces of FaceCrack and Davcost when they lost to Grayhound and didn't qualify for the major, and they were angry. So I think they're coming back with a vengeance. They were so close last time. And look, yeah, Vertex are there this time, but they have a point to prove, and they haven't proved it to me yet. I really, really hope that they do. But I'm also thinking for Vertex, like, you think of when they did get to go over to Blast, they didn't do very well. And this time they don't even get to have a boot camp beforehand. They were saying the other day they're burnt out, and leading up to the RMR, like, having 3-4 days off before you get to start playing again. Is that really enough of a rest if you're burnt out?
It's kind of like a long-term project for these RG guys, because usually, like, I don't know if Blair will agree with this, but usually you see these, like, teams kind of boom and bust. Like, they just put it together for one event, and then if they don't qual, they're like, all right, guys, time to pack it in. But, like, these guys have maintained, like, a core 4 since the last RMR. They only changed one player.
Yeah, and I think that's why I want to give them a little bit more faith, and why I don't have them in my bottom 2 teams, right? We've already spoken about Vertex and Twisted Mind, so no point touching those 2 teams now. But yeah, if you remove, I don't know what the name of the 5th new player is, Mini, right?
And then they put Mini in, from Lebanon.
Instead of Sushan, they've actually played together for a while since the Rio qualifiers, and I believe, you know, at least FaceCrack and Davcost, they've been together for a while as well. So overall, like, this is a team. I agree with you. I think they're together. They're in it for, if not necessarily the very long haul, at least they know that this is an easier way for them to get that sticker and make it to the major, right? If you look at all the other possible avenues they have to make it to the major by EU or NA or whatever, you have 2 players there. You pick up these couple of Israeli guys, and we've seen how Israel has been just shitting out amazing players recently, which is fucking fantastic. So I think I agree. I think this is a team that can be dangerous. They have been putting in the work. But that being said, I still feel like they just don't have what it takes to take down, you know, the top 4, maybe at least the top 3 in this RMR. But yeah, I wouldn't put them bottom 2 if you ask me. Pilski, I've just put him right above.
Have you, like, has this changed your mind a little bit, Pilski? I feel like you're thinking a bit.
Well, I thought it was a toss-up anyway, and I'd just like to be optimistic about Vertex.
Sure.
But realistically, and we've all seen it, especially when Vertex have gone overseas, like, they can lose the firepower test against some, like, not even tier 2 by Europe standards teams. You know, you can just get, like, some average Brazilian players, and they can have a struggle with that. So if you've got, like, informed, like, FaceCrack and Davcost, they might struggle with that. Like, the boys need to be sharp this event, and we know they have that potential. I don't even know if you should be scared of FaceCrack and Davcost. I'm looking at this IG versus Twisted Minds game for it was a grand final, qualification game to go to this Middle Eastern event. Mestal went plus 26.
Yeah,
110 ADR.
He played really, really good last time.
Destroying him.
Fair enough. Look, I kind of tend to agree. I think they're a bit of a dark horse, as they were actually at the last event. They can definitely cause some issues for a few teams. I definitely think the ability's there, but just in general, I'll give Yijing, I think, the benefit of the doubt. As you can see, I haven't put them in 7 and 8, but it's like a bit of a tenuous thing for me there. We'll go and have a look at our number 6 here. So again, sort of very similar kind of stuff coming through. Myself and Mac have got Yijing in there. Pilski's obviously put Vertex above Yijing. Doesn't really need to comment too much more on that. So Bleh, you can start us off this time. Obviously, Eruption comes in for the first time. You've got them at number 6. And what's the sort of thought process behind that?
I just haven't really been impressed by the result. It's simple as that, right? When it comes to, so look, the toss-up is going to be between Yijing and Eruption for me. It could have gone either way, but at least for the side of Yijing, you can see that they were kind of dangerous last time, even though some of the games were weird. Like they haven't putting in the work. They haven't playing a lot. They've had a lot of EU practice as well. For the side of Eruption, they're one of those Asian teams. For me, they remind me of an all-Mongolian NKT in a way. Like they exist. They can take down some top-tier teams. But I look at the recent results, they really haven't played much. And even the games that have, I mean, of course, I think they played a Challenger, the ECL, and they've played the Melbourne qualifier. I'm taking a look here. But they've been losing just consistently to teams like, obviously, Rare Atom lost, fair enough. But then you have the, this loss to Clutch Gaming, for example, to New Happy. And just the inconsistency for me, right? If they were at least consistent in beating every other team, apart from IHC, Rare Atom, and Tyloo, and maybe, maybe Lynn Vision or Wings Up, I'd be like, okay, this is a team which can be a top 5 for me. But if you're that inconsistent against a team which might have the firepower in, in teams like Yijing, or even like a more cohesive approach to Counter-Strike like Vertex might potentially bring to the table, I feel like they're just kind of out of the depths, unfortunately. I don't think the team's really coalesced. You look at individuals as well, like, Dobu. I've always loved the guy, been around for a while. Look at all the names here, Yami, Kula, Shinobi. These are kind of like, for me, the sort of leftovers of the rise of Mongolian CS we saw at least around late 2018, 2019. I think that's where it happened, when you had D13s and all these teams coming out, and we're like, holy shit, who's this Annihilation kid? Who's this fucking Score kid in Techno 4K? But you don't really, put these other guys in the same category as them, right? So they're not a bad team or anything. I think they're a pretty good scrim partner for teams like IHC. But apart from that, yeah, I just put them even below Yijing because of these reasons.
And yet, with all that said, they still managed to beat names like, I don't know, like Bentet, Zine, Urcast in the Asia qualifier. That's the crazy thing to me. It's like, you say these guys are the leftovers, but like they're still the second best team in the Asia qualifier.
So are NKT, right?
I mean, at this point, yeah,
NKT right there.
Obviously, yeah. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, they get the better of some pretty good teams. So, like, yeah, for me, I think for me, the reason I haven't got them in 6th and the reason I've got them above Yijing is that I just kind of rate the Mongolian scene at the moment. Like, I'm kind of high on Mongolia. I think they've got pretty good infrastructure over there and sort of allowing these players to develop. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I did, when I was looking at this and sort of thinking about how I wanted to rank my teams, kind of see those results. And initially, I did have Eruption higher than what I've ended up putting them, because I was a little bit like, they maybe haven't been as good as I thought, sort of in my head, based on results. Mac, Pilski, I don't think there's really too much to touch on here for your number 6 pick, is there?
Not really. I think just for anyone who's not actually familiar with Vertex, like, they've just got Hazard in from Encore. They've got Addict. And then obviously experience and leadership of Bracer, Malta, and PC. Like, they've got a trio of like some of the most talented up-and-comers in the last like few years from Oceania, who have all had good events here and there. Like, Addict did well at ESL Challenger or DreamHack Melbourne last year. PZ did pretty decently at Blast and has done pretty decently international for them. Hazard, I think, when he did good internationally when he was playing for that Asia minor with Avant, didn't he? I think he did all right at that event.
I can't recall. That was a long time ago, bro.
So
yeah,
like,
I think he did all right, but there was also like 3 years ago now.
That was also, I think, their first, like, I'm pretty sure for Hazard, at least, that would have been one of his first, if not his first, overseas events.
These are all players who in Oceania we've seen absolutely destroy, and not just like an average level of performance. Like, we've seen their ceiling, and we know that these guys can all be like, can actually do damage internationally if they hit this ceiling. They've got good structure. They've got a coach who has some experience at these kind of events. So I just want to believe. I want to believe in them, but I'm worried. I'm not convinced.
Right.
And for me as well, Yijing in 6th. I was pretty close to putting Eruption down there, but just knowing that they are going to be pretty comfortable, you know, playing in their home turf. Essentially, they don't have to go too far compared to a lot of these other players. I was thinking maybe that works. And every time I've seen Mongolians play on LAN, it's just so ridiculously impressive. So I'm just giving them benefit of the doubt.
All right. Well, let's bring up spot number 5. And so this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, I think. Obviously, we're kind of getting into the top end, and, you know, we're going to start having some spice, I think, here. Now, for me, I actually initially had Eruption in 4. But when I was looking a little bit more, I decided, based on some of the recent results, and when we get to my 4th pick, you'll sort of maybe understand why I'm doing this, that maybe Eruption haven't been quite so hot lately, even though they were able to take 2nd spot in the Asia qualifier, even though Mongolia is a strong region at the moment. I saw those recent results and I thought, the experience of the teams on top of them, at least in my ranking, might actually pay dividends at the Asia RMR. So, Pilski, Mac, you've got Tyloo in number 5. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? Like, Tyloo have been fucking bad lately. Like, they've been pretty sad.
What? Mac, do you smell that? It's, I think I can smell burnt toast.
Yeah. There you go. That's kind of what I was expecting, right?
I don't know, bro. That's how I'm feeling about Tyloo for like the longest time right now. It's like, it should make sense. It should make sense. Like, these players have been to so many majors, no? Like, this should be their like most comfortable position ever, where it's like they should just be in their element. Should be easy qual for Tyloo, but they're just so average, man. Like, you can't watch them play online and struggle to beat like Lynn Vision and struggle to beat Rare Atom and shit and just like and back them, you know. Like, some of the events they're beating Wings Up, they're beating Lynn Vision, and then they're just losing to Lynn Vision, they're losing to Rare Atom. I don't know, man. It's hard to back them. They lost to bloody Lynn Vision with Vadim playing. It's like, come on, bro.
No, Vadim was sick, man. You can't say that about Vadim.
He was like 4 years ago, bro. But
I don't know about now, but he was. Yeah, 4 years ago he was sick.
Look, all right. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Tyloo, right? Yes, they have somehow. It's like Lynn Vision has been their kryptonite consistently off late, and Tyloo has been absolute shite. The end of last year, the beginning, but they have been on the upswing. They are all starting to look a little bit more solid right now. They're getting a few more. They're at least consistent in beating the teams they should be beating, apart from Rare Atom and of course Lynn Vision, who aren't there, by the way, right? And the thing is, you can't ever discount Tyloo. The one thing they have going for them, despite the last few events being kind of rough for them, is the fact that they are the Asian minor, veterans, so to speak, the Asian RMR veterans. They've been in the same place more than any other teams, right? Like, if you go back to the rivalry they had with Grayhound, Renegades, whoever, playing all those finals together, I feel like this is a time where they still aren't back to the Tyloo form we know, or rather most teams have kind of gotten better, right? But at the same time, I think it would be a big disservice to, like, at least looking at the very recent form right now, for me to put them in the bottom 4. I feel like they have what it takes to take down the likes of, Yijing, Eruption, Vertex, Twisted Minds, all these 4 teams. The other 3 teams, though, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I feel like that's why I'm going to sneak them in my top 4. Maybe potentially even pull off a couple upsets if they don't face off against Rare Atom, perhaps. Maybe they might be able to take down, I don't know, like Grayhound or whoever. Maybe.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Maybe. They got Grayhound first round, brother. So
let's find out. Let's find out.
I mean, that is the El Clasico, actually, of Asian.
It is Tyloo. Like, that's the thing with Tyloo. Like, look, here's the thing. You look at Eruption, look at Vertex, Twisted Minds, and Yijing. For me, these are teams where, sure, they might have a bad game, they might have a good game. For Tyloo, it's always been the case. They might be shit, they might be average, but if it clicks, they could potentially win the entire thing. I don't know how. Dan King just going fucking lunatic mode or whatever. I've seen it happen, man. Too many fucking times.
And
it's been a while.
Dude, no, you're on copium if you think Tyloo can win this event.
Good. He's playing, bro. Bleh, he's got a 1.22 rating, and they've lost 3 of their last 4 best of 3s.
So maybe someone else steps up. I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to just sell you anything as to like the Tyloo stock that they're going to win this shit. I'm just saying that top 4, I think, is very, very realistic.
I agree with some of what you've said. Some of it I don't agree with. But look, I kind of agree in the sense that, like, in my head, I find when you go to this kind of event, I find it hard to go past Tyloo. It's just like,
I feel like this
it's
is like,
Tyloo, you know, like
if they bomb, they should just disband. Like that's how I feel about Tyloo, to be honest. But I almost kind of expect it. I
Yep.
almost
feel
expect
like-
it.
For me, Tyloo is just like big game players, and they're also just like an unknown quantity right now. But they've just had shit results. I don't expect them to be out in 5th in that position, but I just feel like the other 4 I've put above them are just better and more consistent and have impressed me a lot more as in the last like 6 months, 1 year. Whereas I feel like Tyloo hasn't done anything big for a long time. Maybe this is, you know, a bit of a last hurrah for them, but I guess we'll see once they play. For me, just like fully unknown. So I'll put them in 5th because I just know a bit more about the other teams.
All right, well, let's take a look at number 4 then, and it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that, you know, the top 3 are the top 3. I think that's whatever. Tyloo, Eruption, you know, pick your poison, I suppose. This is fairly interchangeable in my opinion. Like I said, I debated with Eruption in 4 and Tyloo in 5, but then I looked at the more recent results and I thought, again, I was like, yeah, Tyloo. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt one more fucking time and then they can disappoint me and probably go out in like last place or some shit. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, this one, I feel like we've already covered this. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
We can skip 4th, I reckon.
Everyone's happy to sort of move on. We've all sort of said our piece about Eruption and Tyloo. But here's where it really gets interesting, boys. I'll just leave a bit of suspense because, like, I don't think there was any world where anyone would have put like IHC, Grayhound, Rare Atom outside of the top 3. But the order in which these have come across is actually a pretty interesting discussion point. So let's go and show you number 3 here.
Ooh, what?
Yeah, see what I mean? Like, it's kind of you can go both ways with your
It's 50-50.
your discussion here, but interestingly, no one's got Grayhound in 3. So we all think Grayhound is going to qualify to the major, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
And we're 50-50 between IHC and Rare Atom. So who wants to start this one? Who's got the spiciest take?
Considering I'm not the Australian and I still put Greyhound on top there, I'll go ahead, right? So here's the thing. I'd say if they hadn't removed score, if whatever happened there didn't happen, I would have put Rare Atom and IHC, at least looking at recent form. Maybe a toss-up between Rare Atom and Greyhound, right? But I'd have to go in a little bit more deeper there. But I didn't have to, because losing score, and I know they played the recent games, whatever results they had, which is kind of grim. They played it with Mara. Mara isn't exactly a shitter in the server. He's not an advent. The guy can still frag, mind you. Like, he was a fragger once upon a time as well. And they look rough. And this is with, you know, with a coach who knows exactly what he's doing. The team don't have any issues there. I have Azteca coming in, who has been in, I don't know, like every Mongolian team seemingly in the past 4 or 5 years. He's not.
Did you see that graphic that Blast put out? There was a graphic of IHC's like roster and where they've come from. They've been doing it on Instagram, I think. Okay. And it's like all of them have been there for like, you know, however long and whatever. And then Azteca's just like one team, next team, next team. He's got like 6 or 7 teams.
Exactly.
Everyone else is like on 1 or 2.
That could work out, you know, in their favor. He's the guy who can supposedly adapt to the, you know, the system. But then IHC also the team that I like because of the system they have, right? And there's not a case of Blitz coming in who's kind of like the 6th man of the team, who knows how the team operates as well. There's a whole different ball game. And now you're going to be kind of, I wouldn't say starting from square one, obviously not, but you're replacing your 2nd star player. I consider Blitz their main player, the main star alongside being IGL, with someone who hasn't really done much in all honesty. He could be a good fill man, but I don't think he's been doing much overall. Annihilation is still too inconsistent, even though he's very clutch. I know he's got the chops, but it's still very inconsistent. And now you have Technofoke, who also is not kind of like the pillar of the team. The pillar of the team is Blitz and Score, and you lost one of them. Now it's only Blitz. And I feel against the sort of style of Counter-Strike you're going to be facing off against here, and the fact that Rare Atom looked pretty solid, despite the fact they just got that one win against the Liquid, which is a very dominant win. You look at the map pool as well. The map pool is very similar to what Greyhound like to play, and also what Rare Atom like to play. And now you got problems for IHC. So I'd be very happy for them if they do qualify, but I have to go with number 3 for them.
All right. Well, since I also chose IHC as my number 3, I'll say my piece, and then Mac and Pilski can debate us. The reason I had IHC in 3rd, obviously the score change is kind of weighing heavily on my mind, and the reason for that is that they haven't actually played an official, as far as I can see, with Hashtaka in the roster. They have only been using Mara in the lead up since going to ESL Pro League and coming back and playing domestically. They have not had an official with the core 5. So sure, they've probably had some time scrimming and such like that, but I just think that's very awkward. It's like a very weird kind of lead up going into an event like this, and that's definitely something that, you know, when you're talking about 5% differences or 10% differences, especially with Grayhound and Rare Atom, I mean, debatably in the case of Rare Atom, but definitely in my mind in the case of Grayhound, looking better of late than what they did going into the previous RMR. I think, yeah, that is something that could potentially dislodge IHC. So, you know, again, I think for me, the top 3 is very fluid. I'd be very, very surprised if it was not 2 of these 3 to qualify through to the major. Like if it was a Tyloo or an Eruption or something coming through in one of those 2 slots, that to me would be a surprise. If IHC was to take one of the 2 spots, not surprised at all. I think the top 3 is quite interchangeable, but in my mind, I've got IHC in terms of power rankings coming in as the 3rd place team in my head. So what do you guys have to say about Rare Atom?
You go first.
Oh, you
go. You go first.
I think it's going to be rough for them going from Europe to Asia on a pretty tight time frame, potentially. So that's something that they've got to deal with. That might be like a little bit of a slow start for them. I don't know. I feel like they've just burned me. Rare Atom has just burned me too many times. I used to be #1 Rare Atom fanboy, think that they would qualify no matter what, but they've just burned me too many times. So I don't know. I can't remember the last time that I saw. The thing is that for me, it's like Rare Atom is #3 because I'm trying to think of a world where Rare Atom has beaten Grayhound or IHC in the last little bit. Like they might have beaten IHC online, perhaps, but I don't think they're going to beat them. I mean, okay, Challenger League. Yeah, so online they've beaten them. No, they haven't even beaten them online. They lost to Grayhound at the RMR. Like they just haven't beaten these teams. And I think that the core 4 of them have put up the most like convincing results that we've seen from an Asian team in like the last couple of years. And it's like, you can't really discount that. Like I know they lost score, but there's even been games internationally where score was like not even playing that well and they were still kind of all right. Like it's not, he did play well, like quite consistently, but it's not like he was the hard carry of the team. And the thing that always impressed me about IHG is how they played structurally and how they actually approached the game. It wasn't like a one-man hard carry. It wasn't the individuals hard carrying. I think that the system that they've set up and the way that they play off each other, their map pool, all of this stuff that they built up in the last little bit is going to be quality enough to where they'll qualify. So I honestly believe in them more than Rare Atom. And I don't see Rare Atom... and this is where it gets sketchy for me because I really believe in that IHC core. Rare Atom Grayhound is a toss-up for me because Grayhound is a bit all over the place as well. Like, I don't have a ton of belief in Grayhound.
Okay. And look, for me, I pretty much same sort of thing as you there, Pilly. I've just seen Rare Atom get so close so many times back when they were Vici, and then they just always seem to, like, trip at the final hurdle. And it feels like something that they've never been able to shake. I want to see them succeed, but also... if we're looking at the bracket, IHC and Rare Atom playing each other ideally in that, you know, second game in the upper bracket semis, I feel like IHC should be winning that. You know, IHC on land, when we saw them at the last RMR, looked insane. You know, obviously they're not going to have score there, but Rare Atom, something was going wrong for them on land. And even with this, like, really good form, some great results up against the European teams, I just feel like they're going to choke. They're going to feel the pressure somehow, and IHC's going to beat them. Although the arguments that you two brought, why you put IHC in 3rd, almost sold me. You almost sold me on a little change there. But,
okay,
but I think I'm going to stick with it.
What if this time's different, Mac? What if this time it's different?
We don't know. We don't know till it happens, man. We don't know.
How about that? How about that as an argument?
That is like, you are like so down the PTSD hole at this point where you're just like, no, they could change. They won't choke this time.
For a whole year. And then they evenally won.
They lost 10 grand finals in a row, Jordan.
Yeah, but I was right eventually. Okay, they won 2 in a row. So fucking who's laughing at the end? Me. Look, the one thing I will say as well for IHC, and you know, as a bit of a benefit or as a tick in their book, is they do have the hometown advantage. I don't believe there's going to be an audience at the Asia RMR or anything of that sort. But, you know, they don't have to travel. They're going to be comfortable. They're going to be sorted. They'll, you know, probably have a bit of a better prep lead up than the other teams. So
all these Mongolian teams have like team houses and shit that I've seen and all this shit. So like
Remember
they're
Tigers
max
stuff?
chilling.
I mean, think about it. Like, okay, it is Husteka and Blitz. Sorry, not Blitz. Bartek playing, right? I don't think Cabal's.
to my understanding,
Cabal's
that is
listed as substitute, and the
Yeah.
core
It is
is
sub, okay.
Hasteka and Bartek.
So, dude, like, I want to believe in IET. I agree with you. I agree with like what Pilski and Max, the reasoning there, right? For IET, the fact that it's a system, and even if you look at the performances in Pro League, you go back to Katowice, there was no like, it wasn't score like hard carrying them or Blitz either. Like you said, it's a team effort, everyone chipping in. But Blitz, Bartek was struggling, right? If you look at his numbers, he was doing enough, and as a stand-in, as a sixth man, that's good. That's good enough. Hasteka, even as a stand-in for all these other teams, hasn't done much either. So now we have two guys who are going to be struggling when it comes to delivering on the firepower. And then the pressure is on. Again, I said Annihilation, inconsistent. Then you come down to Blitz and Techno 4K. Techno 4K as well. He has his moments, but he's not someone who delivers consistently. He doesn't give us 20 kills every single time. Now it's all down to Blitz, right? So it's down to the system. But you're going to be going up against maybe a Danking popping off, right? Maybe it might be going up against a Rare Atom and all the other 4 stars click like they did against Liquid. That's when it started to worry about his IHC team. So I wanted to do well, but I just feel like they just let go of score at the worst time possible. And yeah, I stand by number 3.
all right. Well, I guess in that case, then we will reveal number 2 and number 1 at the same time, because it just makes sense to do it that way. And then we can discuss. So we've all got Grayhound as the number 2.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now, I sort of debated in my head for a little while actually putting Grayhound first, because I was like, so this is how this whole thought process went for me for the first, second, and third. I was like, man, IHC have been the best for like the last 12 months. I'm going to put IHC number 1. And then I was like, but I think Rare Atom actually have a higher peak than IHC if they play to their level, which, as we know, they haven't really done a lot of the time. And then I've seen Grayhound doing pretty well overseas, and then I've seen IHC making those roster changes and not playing with their full core in the lead up, and I've thought, I don't know. And then I went and I looked and I was like, when was the last time Grayhound actually didn't qualify for a major? And it was like 2018 or something like that. It was something stupid, like ages ago. And I was like, I didn't realize that they had been that consistent coming from the Asia region. And like, obviously there's, COVID involved and stuff like that. And some of the qualifiers were a bit weird, but they've gone to basically every major in like the last 5 years. So it's kind of hard for me to say that Grayhound won't qualify, especially because they've looked a little bit better in my mind. And then I've thought, you know what, Rare Atom, fanboy, they're number 1. Let's just go with that. So I had a moment where I thought...
So what I did is there was a lot of logical reasoning going on.
I know.
I saw Advent and I was like, that damn smile.
That damn smile gets me every time. No, the thing is though, like I thought in my head, I was like, I could potentially actually put Grayhound first here. But then I was like, yeah, but it's Rare Atom. And like,
I feel like every time Grayhound play, right, in anything, they always like have an unfortunate series, at least one unfortunate series, and then they bounce back pretty well. Right. And because of that, that's why I haven't put them in first. But I almost want to believe I could put them in first after all the arguments you guys have given me about IHC right now.
Bro,
but who knows?
Grayhound always just struggles. They like struggle. They're like throw an anti-eco or some shit. Being a Grayhound supporter is like the most stressful shit you could possibly commit yourself to.
But they've been consistent in the roster facility for a long time now, right? Remember when they went into ESL Challenger Melbourne, that was when they just picked up Vexite. They just swapped to Grayhound again because the whole order thing happened. So there was obviously like some other external pressure going on for them. Going into the RMR, there was still some kind of like behind the scenes external pressures going on, but they had an extra month or so to get ready for that. And Vexite's definitely feeling himself at the moment. We've seen Liaz, we've seen Ali playing really good domestically at the moment, and they're the ones that need to play well overseas for them to pop off. Everyone on Grayhound is playing really, really well from what we've seen. They bloody dominated yesterday, at least in the domestic scene, and they came back from Europe looking real good after some good results. So I'd almost right now say I'm going to put Grayhound above IHC. The only thing that's stopping me is that IHC obviously have the comfort of being there. They know that they've smacked Grayhound before. And that game between IHC and Grayhound, Jordan, do you remember the amount of shit that IHC was getting away with? Like getting kills mid-air, dropping, just ridiculous timings. Like there was a lot of ridiculous timings. Grayhound were fuming at the LAN, at PAX, and managed to get it over the line against Jijihao or whatever. But that was a sick series, and I want to see that all happen again. But after this discussion we've had, I almost feel like Grayhound has the most consistency out of the 8 teams.
Here's the interesting question that I want to ask everybody, because I feel like this RMR is so fucking wide open.
Yeah.
Who actually has like above a 50% confidence that their list is correct?
Asian CS. No one can be confident.
I would say
I have full faith.
I'm pretty confident in like the general positions. Like I'm pretty confident that 1, 2, and 3 is going to be 1, 2, and 3 in whatever order.
Oh,
I'm
really?
pretty confident that 4 and 5 are going to be 4 and 5, and I'm pretty confident that 6, 7, and 8 are going to be 6, 7, and 8. But I kind of feel as though those are sort of semi-interchangeable. That's the issue.
Okay,
that I'm
going to say it out right now. I'll tell you. I'm not very confident in my top 3. But like the order, I have my top 3 right now that I've been kind of been listening to you guys and thinking about it. I'm going to put Grayhound winning the entire thing. I'm going to have Rare Adam coming in second and I2 third. The rest of it doesn't really matter.
This is the thing for me though, Blair. This is what I wanted to put Grayhound first. Like in my head, I was like, man, Grayhound's actually the most consistent team. But I'm like, how can I put Grayhound as first when I think Rare Adam at their peak are better? So like I've devised my list based on this is the team will play at their peak. Like I mean, obviously if Tyloo's not playing at their peak, they probably end up in fucking 7th. So I've given like the benefit of the doubt to the teams, and I think if every team comes in and plays as best as they possibly can, like to their level, Rare Adam is the best team there.
Right.
Grayhound's going to hit that. I think Grayhound's going to hit more often. I think they're going to hit that level more often. I think Grayhound's going to do it more often. But if Rare Adam plays like, you know, the fucking best team in Asia, which we know they can be, they're going to win the event. But the chances of them doing it, are they going to do that? 90 times out of 100, maybe not. But they might
design
do it 50.
your list based on a team that you see choke almost every single time.
I know.
To their level is what you're telling me.
But the thing is, they can do it, Pilly. I know they.
But here's the thing, right?
It's their last chance at CS:GO. Ooh.
That's right.
It's not. I know they can, Jordan, but let's look at it from the intangible standpoint,
I want to play
right?
a montage of them losing every time right in front of his face.
Someone make it. Just, Jordan, I'm sure you can get something from a Patreon or whatever, and just try and get a Fiverr editor to edit it out. Look, here's the thing: Grayhound, when it played Pro League, dude, they look fucking sick, dude. I won't lie, and they didn't qualify, if you ask me, because they choked. It's simple as that. Against the Brazilian teams, I think they had the edge on both those series, and I think when Spain Gaming with the leading like fucking 12-3 or something on Inferno on the T side, and they wind up choking that lead. That should never be happening. We saw it in other maps as well, and they just seem to allow the occasion get to them. But even then, they make it competitive, right? Rare Adam though, they start strong, right? They start fucking strong, and they just get banged out eventually. I still feel Rare Adam will qualify, because just looking at the rest of the other teams. But I feel like when it comes down to the crunch moments, the final games of these sort of tournaments, like the minors, like the RMRs, I think Grayhound in the back of the minds are like, listen, man, we almost made it to playoffs, right? We almost made it to playoffs. Even the games we lost at the end were very close. We had a potential chance of a rematch against NIP, who they beat pretty convincingly as well. But for Rare Adam, 2-0 Liquid, they shat on them, and in the end, Liquid's like, all right, you're facing the toilet now. It's our turn to take a dump on you, and it was a rough end for Rare Adam. So I'm going to actually start with Grayhound. I feel like they might just take this.
That's why I'm backing IHC,
you can switch that.
Because they haven't been choking when they're playing in the series. They actually don't give a shit. They don't choke. They make big balls plays.
Yeah, just lost their players, Pilski. That's the thing. They lost fucking score, dude. And Cabal has a kid. I mean, congratulations, Cabal. I'm very happy with you, by the way.
No, fucking child.
The other thing as well.
And I like the team, dude. When Annihilation won their 1v3, I think against it was I forget, Fury or Cloud9, who the fuck ever it was, right? The team just went like, nice. No emotion. Like, cool as fucking ice. And I love that, dude.
Well, one thing I'll say that was very quickly, that is a tick in my book for Grayhound. I think that they are a team that have quite a lot of mental fortitude when it comes to actually being in the game, which teams like especially Rare Atom do not. Like, you know, you've obviously fucking ribbed me about it already, Pilski, but Rare Atom are chokers. I don't think that Grayhound are necessarily chokers. I've seen them win a lot of tight matches and like OT games and come back from behind a lot of times. So they've kind of got that never say die kind of attitude, which I think other teams in this region don't really have. So part of that is also the reason I've got them sort of going through the major as well. But Mac, what did you have to say? Because I've got another segment that I want to go through here. So is it still related to like?
Yeah, well, I got 2 negatives. One for Grayhound and one for IHC. IHC, of course, most recent results. You guys already touched on it. You know, in the last 5 days, 8 days or whatever, they lost to Lynn Vision 0-2. They lost to Wings Up 0-2, which aren't even like the best sub, teams in those regions with sub. But that's not going to build a lot of confidence for everyone who's put IHC first. My hands up.
Yep.
And Grayhound, of course, we spoke to them a couple of times this week on ANZ Champs, and they were saying that the prac has been shithouse since coming back from Europe because no one's pracking. No one wants to play Anubis. They don't get to play like this map that they put a lot of work in overseas. So they're going to go into this tournament thinking that they might have something cool on Anubis, but if they don't get any prac before then, if they can't find teams to scrim when they are over in Mongolia with the limited time they're going to be there before the RMR, then maybe the map pool is going to shift throughout the tournament, depending on how the results go. But, you know, many things to think about.
Yeah, and I guess we haven't really got a great insight yet as to how many of these teams have kind of got Anubis super solidly in their map pool. Because, that's the kind of mini meta that could develop over the course of the RMR, that someone's picking Anubis and playing it really well, so everyone else is banning it, but then someone pulls it out at a weird time, something like that. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I want to move on because we've got something else to do here. Let's try to predict the bracket. And I think this is where we can find the consensus, because we've been going back and forth saying, oh, this and that, and some opinions have started to change. So let's see if we can like find a consensus here and make this the geographically challenged Turbo Giga Galaxy Brain bracket. That's what we're going to call it. Right. So let's just start off. I mean, I'll try to update these lives. Hopefully it works. Like I said, trying to up the production value on the show today, and chances are something fucking breaks. So this is going to be the segment where it does.
Worst case, you could take a screenshot and MS Paint that shit.
I'll fix it in post if it does. But yeah, hopefully it works live. And you guys, I don't know if you can read it super well on your feed,
I can read it. I've got the bracket up anyway.
Yeah, well enough. What do we reckon? IHC, Twisted Minds. I mean, to me, that's 2-0.
IHC.
You got to give it. You got to give it a map score. Yeah. So 2-0.
Yeah. 2-0.
Easy. You guys should keep talking while this happens because it takes me a
cool.
time.
2-0. 2-0.
Rare Atom, everyone agrees.
Wait, you give Rare Atom 2-0? Yeah. I give Rare Atom 2-0.
I think,
Vertex, 100%. Greyhound,
I reckon this is going to be one of those games where
2-1.
It's going to be a 2-1, and there's going to be some map where Tyloo like fucking destroys them, and then Greyhound literally wins the most bullshit like clutch game. I reckon
2-1 Greyhound.
Like some bullshit 2-1.
Let's go with that.
We all agree. I almost feel like in my mind,
I want to say 2-0.
I want to say 2-0 for Greyhound, but I kind of, again, I have in the back of my
mind. I think Tyloo can bang them out on one map.
But yeah, Tyloo is always good for one map. They just they'll just play like one of the puggy maps or some shit.
And then they'll forget how to play the third, man. That's what we've seen so many times when they've lost.
This one's interesting. I might go against what I picked, but I think Eruption might actually take this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. That was what I chose on my.
I'm actually going against what I predicted. Good, I didn't look at the matchups in all honesty, but with them looking at a head-to-head,
this is the hardest.
I think Eruption should be okay because how often have this other team played together on LAN? Of course, FaceCrack has a LAN experience, of course, alongside his teammate.
But we have to all agree. Here,
I had Eruption so much higher, but I'm scared for them in this game.
You have to remember as well, by the way, when you're considering the Mongolian teams, that they've actually been playing on LAN like for the last 6 months.
Quite a lot.
In the MESA Pro League or whatever the fuck it's called. So
I'll go with Eruption.
I'll give
this
them
matchup.
That. You agree
we'll
as well?
We'll go with Eruption.
Really?
All right, fine. We'll go with Eruption.
You don't have to. You can tell us you think Yijing's going to win.
I feel like Yijing's going to win.
I have like something.
And I didn't even put them above Eruption or anything.
All in favor of Eruption.
I'm in favor of Eruption 2-1 or maybe 2-0. Okay, well we've got Eruption winning.
But say 2-1.
We're sort of saying
I would say it's going to be 2-1 if anything.
2-1, yeah.
All right. Okay, so that then would be conclusion of our first round matches. Do we want to do lower bracket or upper bracket first?
Let's do lower bracket first.
Lower. Who's going home?
So this is the interesting one: Twisted Minds and Vertex. Obviously, We had that whole back and forth, didn't we? So
I have a lot of faith in Vertex after like taking some things into account. Like you were saying, they were losing to like, you know, tier 3 Brazilian teams at ESL Challenger, which makes sense. But also when I was thinking about what happened before that, where they just lost Vexite
too.
Yeah, they just like got Vexite taken by Grayhound and then had to play with Blitz, who also they had some like kind of bad blood going on, you know, behind the scenes. So there was a lot of little bits of drama which would have made their lives hell trying to play that LAN, still doing an okay job, not the best. But then I'm thinking about Twisted Mind. I feel like team-wise, I'd probably like say Vertex should win this every day, but I feel like mechanically I'm going to be extremely surprised by Twisted Minds. What I want to do as well, by the way, which I was planning on doing tonight, was downloading like a demo or two from a couple of these teams that I don't know, just to see how they play. So I have like a good reference point, and I really wish I did it before this podcast, but I haven't.
I did. Well, see, part of like my prep actually for these events is doing this podcast. So like I've kind of looked at all this stuff already in the lead up to the podcast, because that kind of helps me at the event anyway. So yeah, look,
So
I mean,
your prep is just stealing my opinions.
no, my prep, by the way, is doing this show. Like I've already fucking come in with my big dick swinging with Rare Adam coming out in first, so you can get fucked. That's what I think.
I reckon 2-0 Vertex. I don't know what you think, Sudan.
2-0 Vertex, you
I'd
reckon?
be surprised if they 2-0 any
I
series.
think they're going to 2-0.
I think 2-1. 2-1 Vertex.
We're
I
agreeing
think Twisted Mind goes home.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to back your son, Mac. What the fuck?
Who's Mac's son?
Mac Hazard. Haven't you seen him?
Right, yeah, okay, I've seen that. All right, Tyloo,
How old are you, Mac?
Tyloo,
Old enough.
Tyloo.
Blaze on the
Tyloo.
Tyloo 2-0 high.
2-1.
Tyloo.
I just don't have full faith in them. And Yijing are a team who can definitely at least take a map off them, 100%.
I think I'm happy with the Tyloo 2-1 here.
I reckon
Tyloo.
Tyloo are going to shit the bed, and I think Yijing are going to win.
I
But
think there's
I'm
a very real
I'm losing this
shit
3-1.
I don't see
There's definitely a
Tyloo going out last place, man. No, I
I
don't see that
do. I
happening.
really do, though, with that matchup. I actually do.
Jordan, back me up here.
I look. I think we're.
Hey, theoretically, we could be wrong that it's Tyloo Yijing, right?
We could.
What if
could.
Yijing
We could be.
beats
This is what we
Eruption?
think it's going to be.
Then it's
No, but that's
Tyloo
not the
Eruption.
discussion.
So if it's Grayhound and Yijing,
yeah.
it's Grayhound, right?
This is like this is how we see the bracket playing out. So we've already locked in those first round matches. Like we can't say, oh, but it could be this or could be that. Like this is now fact. This match is Tyloo versus Yijing, and if that match happens, what happens in that result?
Tyloo have just way more prac experience. Yijing, sure, they have some of these names. They look good in the last RMR, whatever, yada yada, etc. 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 It's still Tyloo. It's an Asian RMR. They have been playing together for quite a while. And when it comes down to it, they have the better fucking individuals. They don't have an admin in the team to call, because guess what? They don't need to fucking call against Yijing. Dan can go fucking smack them in the ass.
They don't need
And
to
that's
call
what's
in
going to
general.
happen.
He's not going to smack them in the ass, Blair. That's not how he plays. He's going to smack them in the dick because he's running right at them. You know, he's not coming from behind.
He likes doing both, maybe. I don't know how he likes smacking people, but he smacks them, Jordan. That's what I'm saying, all right? And you got Attacker, you got everyone else. I'm looking at his names. It's all making sense to me.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like we're getting a bit too close to the sun right now.
Yeah, 2-0 for Tyloo.
Nah,
Yeah,
I think we're
2-1
Fuck it.
Tyloo.
2-0. Fuck it. I'm going all in. I convinced myself there. There we go.
All right, so Pilly and Blair are saying 2-0. I'm saying 2-1. Max saying 2-1. But I feel like Blair's the most confident out of everyone, so we kind of have to go with that.
All right, we'll let Bled do this. Yeah,
We'll go with 2-0 because, like, I mean, I was already fairly confident for Tyloo in that matchup, so I'll give that.
Come on, you guys are falling for that, all right? That entire fucking spiel I gave right there.
Hey,
all
you're
right.
just a convincing guy. That's why you work at the majors.
Arguably, I'd say 2-1 to Yijing, but because that makes it 2-1. So
That's playing it safe. You gotta have faith in Tyloo.
All right, whatever. Let's go.
So
I see
here's where I think Rare Adam will do the classic, which is they win in the upper bracket.
That's right. I
Yes.
agree.
And
Yes,
they look
yes,
really
yes.
good winning in the upper bracket, and
then
then
they're
it
gonna
comes
lose to
down to the
Greyhound.
qualification games.
Yep.
So I actually reckon they're probably going to 2-0 IHC in the upper
2-0?
bracket.
Fuck no.
You had
Hold on, hold on,
IHC
hold
going through in first, though.
Who, me? Yeah, I do.
So
Yeah.
this is where, like, see, this is why I wanted to do this, because it's like you have your power rankings, you have your perceptions, and then you see the matchups, and you're like, or you're like, you have a different idea of how the matchups might play
The
out.
thing is, like,
Wait.
No, look at the maps. No, Pilski, I agree with you, but look at the maps, right? What are the maps IHC are good on? Nuke?
Hang on.
Inferno.
This is this bracket.
What are the
Look at
maps
the
Rare
end
Adam's
of it
good at?
really quickly. Look at the end of it. It says winner of whatever game, like that lower bracket game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wizard of Losers. But like when we went to the RMR in down in Melbourne, we thought that game was going to exist. But
No,
then
the
we
grand
found out that
final
game
does
doesn't
not exist. The grand final does not exist. So it's the winner of the upper bracket, the winner of match 12 on this graphic. It's just because it's on challenge, and there's nothing I can do about that.
Oh, okay.
But the winner of game 12 will be the qualifying slot. So basically, whoever goes into that winner bracket final, upper bracket final, whatever, and so basically it ends on round 3.
Yeah,
the important thing.
Just clearing that one up.
It's just because of the challenge bracket.
So I'd say Rare Atom, it's going to be either Inferno Nuke and Overpass being played in the first 2 maps. And unfortunately, I think Rare Atom they have a full lineup to work with. I'd say don't. It's going to be basically Rare Atom winning it. I think it's going to be 2-0 as well. Disagreeing with Pilski.
So 2-0 from both of you?
I think, Rare Atom will stomp them, and it will look really good going through the upper bracket as well, because they always do. The thing is, though, IHG in some of these events, the thing that's impressed me about them is like you have an idea of how the games are often going to go and the narrative in your head, and they just tend to just win.
Yep.
Like they just say, I don't care, I'm winning this game 16-10, and we look good doing it. So
I'm not sold on a 2-0 for Rare Atom at all.
I'm definitely on the 2-1 train.
The thing is, I think that if the game gets close, Rare Atom might choke. But I think if Rare Atom plays just really good, they'll win 2-0, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Also, quickly, the upper bracket's best of ones, Jordan, by the way. Remember?
All of the upper bracket?
I'm pretty sure all...
Sure.
Oh, sorry, the first round matches, I do remember that now being BO1s. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's going to fuck up this whole bracket.
We did fuck that a little bit.
Can I put Yijing in for a couple of dubs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I remember that. But
wait. The entire first round is the best of one?
The entire first round is the best of one. So, yeah.
That's fucking wild.
I think
I'm going to put Tyloo and Yijing through then. I'll change it. I'll probably change what I say.
We can restart.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna stick with mine.
I'm gonna say Rare Atom in the upper.
Yeah, I think there's just so much more upset potential in those best of ones. That's the thing.
That's gonna change things.
But Grayhound Tyloo is just like I still stick with Grayhound. I think when it comes down to map pool, I think it's going to be the middle of the pack map. And honestly, middle of the pack maps, I would side with Grayhound, who's probably testing the map pool, as opposed to Tyloo, who's just been playing the same fucking maps for the past, I don't know.
It'll be Inferno. I can almost guarantee you. Grayhound Tyloo, it'll be Inferno. And
probably.
That's just where it goes for sure. Yeah, I think in that. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's unfortunate that fucked that up, but anyway, let me check that these round 2. I don't know if
the round 2s are best of ones as well. It's just the qual games and the elimination games that are best of 3s. So these games that we're looking at now are also best
Rare
of 1.
Atom is BO1.
Best of 1. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, we'll take that in mind then, and assume that we've got our BO1 winners correct in the BO3s for round 1. But IHC Rare Atom, if it's a BO1, then what do you think?
Fuck.
I'm
more leaning towards Rare Atom in a best of 1 than IHC.
Rare Atom. I still stick with it.
I have the opposite opinion.
Why?
I think you're.
What would change? Look at again. I'm gonna come down to the map.
There's more pressure on them. They're gonna be like, "Fuck, it's a BO1."
Yeah, I can see that too. I
can see that as well. Fuck.
Advent's gonna be like, "Wait, one map."
That's a problem. Dude, that's a problem with the team, right? When it comes to experienced players there alongside Advent, if Advent gets quiet, there's no one to really step up. Kazi's not someone who's kind of the rallying sort of, guy, even though he's a veteran or he's kind of a very quiet guy. And you have 3 guys who are basically just new to the scene, so to speak, even though Jamyoung's been here for a few years. So yeah, the pressure, man, they don't have a second voice in the team to kind of like alleviate that. So I still go with Rare Atom. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go with Rare Atom.
Let's say Rare Atom.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go with it.
I can honestly see so many crazy upsets in that upper bracket because of the best of ones.
It's going to be completely different.
I got Grayhound.
Grayhound, Eruption, Grayhound. Anyone believe in Eruption? No.
I'll give Grayhound that one.
This one's spicy as fuck. IHC, Tyloo, Vertex, Eruption.
I think Vertex could win. Oh, but this is BO3.
Now this is the best
we're in
of
the
3
lower bracket. Yeah. So these are BO3s. I was gonna say I think Vertex could actually win a BO1 against Eruption, but I'm not sure about a BO3. IHC, I'm definitely taking over Tyloo, but I guess we'll talk about Eruption Vertex first.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, just in case it matters, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember in the schedule, the whole first day is best of ones, like all 6 best of ones. So no lower bracket games, just the upper bracket ones.
Yeah, I think
so. Right. Those games will have like the upper bracket final, the qual game, 2 teams in that first day, and they might have to like have a couple of days off before
They'll
they play
have the
that
second
game.
day off at least, for sure, I think.
Yeah.
I take Eruption over Vertex 2-1, and I take, I'll just say it out, IAT over Tyloo, that too, I take it as 2-1.
So
I agree.
2-1 Eruption.
Yep.
Mac, are you agreeing on 2-1 Eruption?
Yeah, I think they do. I don't want to say it, but I think they do. I feel like Vertex,
I want
this is
Vertex
a
to
better
win, but I don't think that they will.
And I feel like IHC in a best of 3 should always beat Tyloo.
They just have the chops for it, simple as that.
So now these are our qual games. These are the qual games. These are the BO3s.
Anyone think
Actually,
Eruption
no,
will
sorry.
make it?
no,
The first one is the
one more
qual
left.
game. There's
Yeah.
one more lower
Right.
bracket. So
Right.
this is
So we
one
do.
qual game.
So we do lower first. Eruption IHC.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing, dude.
IHC in a close 2-1, but these
I have to go
Mongolian
IHC.
games are a
Dude,
clusterfuck.
yeah, they're a clusterfuck. These domestic, we talk about domestic games being weird, but the Mongolian ones are even weirder. Even IHC with full power, when they had a full lineup, even then they seem to lose on the regular to some of these teams. And Eruption are the second best Mongolian team. This is up in the
They
air.
all beat each other all the time. It's like
All the
it's
time.
a clusterfuck.
But that's also gives IHC, I wouldn't say an edge, but also the entire thing about score not playing doesn't seem to factor as much in this matchup as it would against, let's say,
I mean,
Rare Adam or
in my
Tyloo.
mind-
I feel like we have to all say IHC because it aligns with.
Yeah,
has to be
no,
IHC.
it is going to be IHC. I'm going to stick with that. I'm just saying it's not
I think
as
it's going to be 2-1.
clear cut.
yeah, it's just.
I think
2-1
Eruption
IHC.
will push them, and people are going to be like, "What the fuck happened there?" People are going to like
But we
Eruption's
know.
going to look way better in that matchup than they will against most of the other opponents in the tournament.
Yep.
And this is the classic. Anyone go back to the Melbourne RMR Rare Adam versus Grayhound? This is going to be another El Clasico of a 2-1 Grayhound. Rare Adam choking at the last hurdle.
So yeah,
I agree.
I'm gonna say Greyhound win that upper bracket game.
Yeah. See,
Yep.
in my
And we're
head,
gonna
and like
IHC
I see
Greyhound
that
as
match,
well.
and I think.
So are we all flipping? Are we all flipping? We all have
Well,
Grayhound
I'm
second.
not. I'm not. I'm still thinking like I'm still in my head going under the proviso that every team is playing to their ability, and
best.
obviously I know you're going to fucking meme on me for that, but in
No, I agree with you
in
on that. Like, Rare
capacity,
Adam
I
are the
think
best
Rare
team
Adam wins that
on
but
paper.
I will 100% like if you guys all say Greyhound, I will super concede that point.
Yeah,
and say
all right.
Greyhound
Well, if
goes
you
through.
reckon Rare Adam's good enough to win in that best of 1 against IHC, I feel like Rare Adam should beat Greyhound then. If they're playing at
Is
their
that a,
best.
wait? Is this a best of 1 as well? It has to be best of 3.
Yeah,
right?
No,
this
this
is
is
the best
best
of
of
3. It's a
three now.
call game.
Best of 3. All right, yeah. I go with look. Initially win Rare Adam because like Jordan said, they are the best team on paper right now. But if you look at the individuals and what they've done recently, and et cetera, but we got to bring in the intangibles, historical context, right? And I feel like
Yep.
Greyhound, they just seem very much more confident, man. And whatever, even the chokes they had in EPL, Pain are playing pretty solid, by the way. It's not like a shitty tier 3 team they're playing against, and I feel it's something they could learn from. And coming to tournaments like this, I feel like Greyhound, they find yeah, I don't know, like they go into a different gear altogether. They're like, listen, Tyloo are bleeding. IHC don't have their main player. We know Rare Adam can choke, and they have choked. And I feel like they would have the right mentality. And I think that's what's going to give them the edge here. So yeah, 2-1. I think Rare Adam are going to make it close. But Greyhound, they're not going to choke. They're going to close it out.
I think for me, it's
I'm
as
on that
simple
bandwagon.
as I think Greyhound win this BO3 7 out of 10 times, probably.
I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable. So, yep, happy to lock that one in, which gives us IHC Rare Adam as our final game, the qualification from the lower bracket.
This is where I think IHC are actually going to 2-0 them. And it's going to be like one of those like 16-10, like 16-13
Like a
kind
really
of games where
sad-
they're like
yeah.
winning most of the time. And Rare Adam is just not playing particularly well on the day. Like they're just going to start getting, and I feel like Rare Adam is, and you saw it in like the last tournament. It was EPL they just played, right, where they upset Liquid. The thing about Rare Adam is I feel like their players get more and more mid as the tournament goes on. Every tournament I see them, it's like group stage. They start up here. It's like group stage. They're playing super fucking well, and then like early playoffs, they're playing super fucking well, and their players just start getting more and more average over time, and they start like just getting just kind of okay, and some of the stars stop kind of turning up. So I think this is where Rare Adam's going to randomly like fall off a cliff a little bit, and IHC is going to clutch it up.
Anyone else want to say anything there, or are we
Yeah,
just going to agree with Pilly? We just copy his homework today.
Well, if IHC's playing like 2 best-of-3s before this, they'll have that like little buff of playing a little bit more, feeling it. They've beat Eruption, they've beat Tyloo apparently, and like, what the fuck is going to stop them from beating Rare Atom as well? You know, they're
Rare
going to
Atom's
have
a much better team than Tyloo, but
of course.
Listen, if this was like, nah, man, I can't just flip on this. I think I actually have what it takes to definitely make it like top 3 or maybe even top 4. They might, potentially lose to Tyloo earlier on or whatever. But I think Rare Atom has shown enough to me. Sure, they got banged out by Liquid, but they were pretty competitive in other games they had. And you got to look at the teams they played, man. Like fucking Na'Vi, N2 look fucking solid right now. They've been a Liquid. Map pool wise as well. If IHC had score, listen, I go IHC. 100% I go with IHC. But right now, I have to consider the caveat that they do have 2 players. 40% of the team are kind of stand-ins, which is not ideal when they're going up into Rare Atom. We've got players like Mozia and fucking Jamming and Kazi just popping off alongside Mercury. So I think Rare Atom take it. I might even go 2-0 for Rare Atom looking at a map pool as well here, honestly.
So, I mean, I agree that like I've said time and time again, I think Rare Atom win. So for me and Bleh, it seems like Rare Atom. Pilski, you're obviously leaning IHC, which means, Mac, you sort of have the deciding vote, or you can stalemate us, and we kind of have to flip a coin, I think, at that point.
Let's flip a fucking coin, because I think there's no world where IHC are going to lose that one.
Okay.
Just because they'll probably be playing every day.
You guys believe a team, dude, but a team of 2 stand-ins.
This is one of those things. This is one of those things, right? There's teams that like look so good at the start of a tournament. They'll have like 1 or 2 days off. Everyone else keeps playing, and then they just fucking feel so much more confident when they win against some better teams. They just have this confidence, and they just fucking play insane.
This is a guess series of intangibles.
You know what? I'm out of here. Fuck it. I can't stand this shit.
This is a series of intangibles, bro. 100%.
Who's got a coin? Have either of you got a coin to flip?
I can go and get one.
Yeah, get Mac and do it. Mac can be the... Mac will decide who goes to the major with 1 coin flip. Imagine this happens, though. Imagine it plays out exactly as we've said.
The thing is, I actually think that this bracket is going to be different because of the BO1s. Like, I could see Yijing or Tyloo winning.
I have a 5-cent coin. This 5-cent coin is deciding who the second team is.
But what I'll ask you, though,
that was an Amazon guy, sorry.
is if the bracket does change, does it change who goes to the lower bracket? Like, ultimately, once we get to this point, we're all sort of in agreement. Rare Atom, Grayhound, IHC are all above and beyond better than the rest of the teams. So maybe the earlier stages of the bracket change, but I don't think this match, in theory, would be different.
I think there's a very legit world where Tyloo, Yijing go through the upper bracket with BO1 upset wins, and then one of them goes into the upper bracket game against Rare Atom and loses, and then Rare Atom qualifies for the major. I actually legit think that is a very legit world.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I see that too. I guess in that, and then it would be what Grayhound
through the lower bracket to beat IHC, or IHC to, I don't think that's where I would actually back Grayhound in the lower bracket game, and it's just about the characteristics of the team, and what the context is in the tournament. That's what I believe.
But I started thinking that as well, and then Jordan was like, "Nope, this is what happens." So you can't think that.
Well, that was before we like, I mean, with the context obviously that they're BO1s, and we fucking made the bracket under the proviso.
But the big question is, who's heads and who's tails?
IHC is heads, obviously.
IHC is heads, all right.
Obviously.
And Rare Atom is the echidna on tails.
Yep.
All right. You guys ready?
That is very like Rare Atom, by the way. They just ball up every time they're under pressure.
I haven't flipped the coin in a while. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Is a coin gonna choke?
Rare Atom wins.
Okay.
We got an echidna. I don't know if you can see that.
2-1.
But it's an echidna. IHC somehow choking, losing score, losing their spot at the major. All down. They're
not choking. Back, that's not a choke. I feel really bad for them. Right?
No, that's the theory. That's just that's what the coin said, Bleh. That's what the coin said.
Okay, fine. All right.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's the completed bracket. In theory, we might have changed some opinions based on BO1s, but
what I actually want to see is chaos. I want to see Tyloo and Yijing upset in BO1s, and I want to live in that world. I can't wait to see it happen.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get it. I think it's going to be a fucking...
It could happen. It's definitely going to
It's
happen.
going to be a clusterfuck.
Especially because there's, as Max said, there's going to be the 6 BO1s on day 1, I believe. So those 4 opening round bracket games.
And I think 1 BO3. I think it's like 9 games a day. We're doing that whole thing.
Right.
9
Why
maps
are they doing that?
No, is that true? Because there's 4 days.
Doesn't make it. Why would he do that? Yeah,
1
that's
day,
4 days,
2
right?
day, 3 day, 4 day.
Oh, yeah, the finals must be like maybe like a little bit separated, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what makes it weird is that, like, you know, you might have like Tyloo and like Yijing, like you say, go through from round 1 and then straight away they're like playing their round 2 match on the same day, and it's just whatever. Anyway, so
Okay,
Wait,
okay, no.
Wait, can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where Tyloo goes through to the upper bracket and Rare Adam chokes against them, just like old times?
Could
I
happen.
can't
It
imagine.
100% could happen. I wouldn't be
I can
surprised.
imagine it.
Okay, I'm looking at
I'd
the
be so
the dates here. By the way, day 1 is 6 best of 1s.
Yep.
Day 2 is 2. Wait, day 2 is 2 best of 3s. Day 4 is 2 best of 3s, and day 5 is 3.
So day 5 is 3 best.
Wait,
So
there's
whoever
no
was
day
the lower
5.
final.
There's no day 5.
Wait, whoever loses the upper
There's no
bracket
day
finals.
5. It's just
Sorry,
4 days again.
There's only 4
sorry,
days.
no.
Yeah.
The day 4 is 3 best of 3. Sorry. So
So-
day 1 is 6 best of 1s. Day 2 is 2 best of 3s. Day 3 is 2 best of 3s, and day 4 is 3 best of 3s. The team that loses the upper bracket finals will have to play 2 best of 3s on the final day
Well, the team that
Which
wins
is
the
separated
lower
from
final
one
has to
another.
play 2 best of 3s. So both teams in the
as well.
final
Yeah.
qual game are going to be playing the second best of 3 for the day. That's
I guess it makes it fair that way then.
It is kind of fair that way. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is obviously one team will have a break and one team won't, but well, you know, like you can only do.
Well,
what
just
you can
fucking
do.
win your games then, right?
I guess
It's gonna be
that's
a
argument.
long day. That's gonna be a long.
It's
day.
been a long fucking day.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Final
bad
day
for
as
the
well. Like
teams.
you're always gonna be really tired going into that final day, and it's gonna be huge.
It's all rolling schedule though, so who knows? We might, save time on other days if there are 2 zeros.
Yeah,
well, I'll just tell you, your after party is going to be a little late, guys.
All right. Well, I mean, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show, unless anyone's got something else they want to say.
I just wanted to ask Blair if he can give me a CS2 key.
I need one of those
yeah,
as well.
yeah. I'll definitely get a CS2 key. You know what to do, right?
DM
You know,
them on Twitter.
just DM me on Twitter. Yeah,
Okay.
have you followed me? Yeah, I think you followed me. I'll send you a key. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell my dad. Yeah.
He
Nice.
works at Valve.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap
That's
it
my
up.
dad.
there. Thank you
Beautiful.
guys for joining. It's been fantastic. Follow Pilski, follow Bleh, follow MacMate. Their Twitters are all below them. You can support them in many ways by watching their broadcasts as well. And look forward to the Asia RMR. I think it's going to be fun. Hopefully there's going to be some chaos. Hopefully our prediction is going to be right, and then we're going to look like gods, and everyone will come back to Geographically Challenged.
And also wanted to say, usually end up with hire us, you cunts, but 2 of us got hired, so that's fucking great. Congratulations, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
fun.
Yep, 50% strike rate, not bad.
Yep.
We're winning.
We'll
We're
take
winning.
it.
Take that as a win.
Still waiting for the day where Elfishguy, Pilski, and Bleh are running the Asia RMR desk, and just it'll be the most goated desk of all time. But anyway,
That'll be fucking sick.
And they listen to Max screaming in the other room.
Mac
and
can go
said,
cast,
"Thank
that's
fuck
fine."
we don't have to be next to that guy.
I'll take that. Either way, yeah. Look, support us on buymeacoffee.com, buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy. Like, comment, let us know as well who you think's actually going to go through, because we do like to have those little conversations in the YouTube comments, and also questions for the next episode, which will more than likely be after the RMR, or definitely will be after the RMR. So keep that in mind. Also, one thing to note before we go is, I believe Rare Adam is playing tonight. So by the time this episode's out, they will have played that game at last. So just bear that in mind in case you see them like for some reason win like crazy against Big, and they're like, why are these guys not talking about that? That's just because we've recorded this on Thursday night. So anyway, with that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Wasting time.